few brave folks to share a couple of gratitudes with the group this morning. Something that you're grateful for. Can be real estate related or not at all real estate related. And if I don't have anybody, then I'll just start calling on people. So how about it, Ruby? You got some gratitudes for us today? Share something with us.
I am a woman of faith, so I'm very thankful for my spiritual relationship with God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am thankful for the mindset that He's given me to stay positive all the time. One of the things when you know the Word of God, He says, you call those things that do not exist as though they do. In this Ninja program, it says take a positive mindset. So I'm starting with a positive mindset, and I'm going to call those things that do not exist as though they do. And I'm going to get those sales. I'm going to get those buyers, and I'm ready to go.
All right. Thank you for sharing. How about it, Scott Bowles? You're gonna have to unmute yourself, buddy. There we go. Maybe I can do it for you.
I said, why did you have to call on me?
Well, I have like 4 video screens on my desktop, so I'm just kind of picking people at random.
You know, I'm very thankful for where I'm at and my office and my agents. We've got just a great group of people that we work with here. I'm very grateful for Crye-Leike and the organization and the leadership they provide. And I'm just thankful for my family as well and the relationships I have.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Hey, Neil.
Yes.
I'm thankful our Crye-Leike email came up yesterday. Aren't we all?
Yes. Yes, I am. I was at the office yesterday afternoon, so I can testify that it was warm at Quail Hollow yesterday.
And I would be even more thankful if somebody could confirm that we have a backup plan set with a server backup or something off-site that doesn't need heat and air from the headquarters. I will
pass that along. All right, so we're going to do a quick review from last week because I know some of the people aren't on here with us, but we covered things such as personal mastery, stop selling, start solving. Anybody remember the retail chain that I brought to mind on that second item there? Maybe not. It was the Apple Store. So they don't really try to sell too much there. They try to work on solving your problems. The Ninja business strategy, that really has to do with having a process. So whether that's a process on working with your buyers, your sellers, that you do have a process. I would encourage you right now, one of the most important processes I can think of is if you're working with buyers, bring them into the office or meet with them somewhere where you can go over your buyer consultation prior to going out and start showing houses. So you can tell them about the market and how things are so that you're just better prepared. And then lastly, this is a huge piece of Ninja is working that database, staying in flow with your database, creating, if you don't have one, your sphere of influence. And I would encourage you on this because sometimes people don't necessarily do this until somebody kind of holds their feet to the fire. So if you don't have a database, a sphere of influence list, I would encourage you to put that down on your to-do list and share it with your broker, and so that you can be held accountable to not only creating one, but building it over time and staying in flow with those people. On the mastery side, we talked about little Yoda and how he has an incredible mindset. Skill set would have to do around the specific skills that you need within the real estate business and your actions, getting those things done. All right, I'm going to get some people here to chime in on these few things from last week. I'm trying to find some people that were here. Mary Sharp, what do you think about that player versus the victim, player victim? Can you hear us okay this morning? I'm going to unmute you. Well, not working. How about it, Larry Arnold? I think you were with us last week.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, there you are. All right.
Okay.
How about it, player or victim? What comes to mind on that one?
Well, I loved it because oftentimes I play the victim, and it really hit home for me that people don't like to be around victims. People like to be around players, and so I plan to change my mindset from now on. So if I didn't learn but one thing, I learned that.
Well, that's awesome. You know, and I think we all can slip into there. It's just if you go there, you just need to try to get out of there quickly.
Yes.
And, you know, and if you see some of your friends or some people around your office, it might just be a easy little thing that you could say to kind of prod them along and just encourage them to be a player. Or if you have that pity party, keep it to 5 minutes and get it over with and move on. So thanks for sharing that. I had called on Larry there. Larry, what do you think about that vibe piece? I know that may get into a little bit of what I called last week the woo-woo piece, but what do you think about the vibe chapter?
I gotta take this.
Oh, he's selling the house all of a sudden. All right. Well, that really has to do with putting out positive vibrations, and a lot of times we can pick up on that, whether it's where we're around people or whether we're in an office, and we can pick up on those positive and or negative vibes. But really, the goal there is to emanate those positive vibrations. And how about Beth Schindler? How about you're on this controlling your emotional energy? Do you want to share something with us on that? I believe you were on with us last week. Let's see if we can get her. There we
go.
go.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Yeah, the high positive energy is definitely where you want to be. I think I definitely try to stay in the high positive energy. And I went through the last Ninja installation. So I'm pretty consistent with writing down my gratitudes and things like that. So that definitely helps.
Awesome. And I think one of the things thank you for that. One of the things he mentioned in the book is that it almost consumes too much of your energy if you try to stay in that high positive all day long. Now we all know some people who maybe are borderline high positive all the time. that can sometimes be exhausting, but you really want to focus on getting into that high positive when we're in front of our clients and customers, and whether it's a listing consultation or buyer consultation, showing houses, negotiating contracts, we want to make sure we're in that high positive for those important things. All right, next. So new this week, we're talking about rituals to get you in the high positive. And I think there's several sports examples that come to mind. I know there's all kinds of things about golf. I'm not sure if we have any golfers or not, but if we do have any golfers on here, somebody tell me who this guy is and what he's known as. Surely somebody knows this. I'm not sure who all are golfers on the call.
Hey, Neil.
Yes.
Sorry about that earlier. That was Jinx Cole calling me, so I knew I had to take it.
No problem. All right.
I would imagine on golf, and I attempt to golf, but I would imagine putting would be closing the deal or closing it up.
Well, you know, a lot of times around golf, and this guy specifically, this is a guy named Camilo Villegas. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right or not, but he's known as actually Spider-Man on the tour because that's what he does to line up his putts. And he does that a lot, and it's just extraordinarily unusual. If I probably can't do that, so I would probably fall over. But, there's a lot of other things around sports that people will do this on. If it's free throws, for example, there's all kinds of things out there. And I've actually got a little short video we're going to watch on this, if it will work for us this morning.
Let's talk about your most memorable free throw tradition. A lot of people have certain routines. They'll hit the side of their face, hit their chest, bounce the ball a certain way. Who do you think, do you remember all the time seeing on TV going, I know exactly what he's going to do right now at the free throw line?
The one that kind of annoyed me was Karl Malone.
Karl Malone always says something. No one knows
what does he say?
I don't know what he was saying. That's what annoyed me, man. I just like, God, what is he saying?
No one knows what he said.
Nobody understood what he was saying at the line, but he was speaking a lot.
Nah, you wouldn't tell nobody. No one knows, man. No one knows.
I would say Rip Hamilton. He takes 2 bounces forward, then he brings it to the side, then he shoots the free throw.
Hamilton, a lethal shooter at 88%.
I still couldn't figure out how Jerry Stackhouse shoots the free throws, and he bent so low, both legs, and watching him really makes me, hurt. My legs.
Jeff Hornacek, when he said hello to his kids.
Hornacek, he would kind of scratch the side of his face, and I don't know if he blew a kiss or not, but I remember every time he got to the free throw line, he would rub the side of his face.
I think it was Alonzo Mourning. He would always touch his chin and his forehead, I think it was, with the sweatband. Yeah, it was wristband, yeah.
Not the weirdest one, but I think the one that everybody recognizes now is Gilbert. Gilbert Arenas.
Probably Gilbert.
I seen Gilbert do some, behind the back.
He goes behind his back, puts it behind his back 3 times, and then shoots his free throw.
Not too many guys go around their back.
This afternoon, he makes it, and Washington will go on to win this game.
All right. So specifically in real estate, I know Vicki Blackwell was on with us last week, and she shared a few things. But what are some rituals that you might do to get into that high positive for real estate? And again, I would love for some people to chime in here. So if you get a chance to unmute yourself, or Vicki Gandy could share something with us.
Yeah, go ahead, Neil. Pick on the new girl.
What are some rituals that you do to get in that high positive before you go on appointments or go to maybe do an open house, those type things? Anything in particular?
I pretty much review, whatever. I usually have a game plan for whatever I'm doing, and I always kind of review, especially when I'm doing anything for a new listing or anything like that. I always go through my little routine, look at my book, and I also try to find a little bit about the person that I'm dealing with, so that perhaps I can find something that I can resonate with them. On open houses, I always bake homemade cookies. I've been doing that every time. I always have little things of ice water. I just try to make it, I always do things. I always have a candle, try to make a homey atmosphere. So I have my little routine. I have a bag. I'm a bag person. I have a bag for everything. I have my open house bag that has all my stuff in it. And I always have my homemade cookies, and I always make people stop and have a cookie and hang out and pay attention to the house, because it makes them stop and gives them a chance to kind of pick up the atmosphere of the house. It helps a lot.
Nice. That's a great comment about when you're going to meet with somebody and trying to find something that you can connect with them on, whether it's, some social media, whether you do some just looking things on social media, you can Google somebody. Normally, if, there's a good chance you might find something that you have in common, or maybe you just know somebody in common. So that's a great way to connect with somebody. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else?
The referral thing helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Neil?
Yes.
I try to visualize the outcome that I want. For example, if I'm doing an open house, I imagine the right people coming in, oohing and eyeing over the house and asking, how quickly they can write an offer, or they don't like the house, but they want to buy something else, and can I help them? Or I'll see us sitting down at the closing table together. I just try to look forward to the outcome that I want.
That's a great visualization and affirmation all kind of rolled up into one. Thanks for that, Pat. All right, and then we can all slip over there on that dark side again, kind of like getting into those negative areas. The key is to just figure out ways to get yourself out of there quickly. And so these are a few things that Larry recommends to do when you do find yourself over there on the dark side, whether that's getting out and doing some exercising. Just putting yourself around positive people can do a world of good. All right, next we're going to talk about the Ninja morning routine. So again, starting your day with gratitude. So you might just think about trying to do a few of these things before you reach for the dreaded smartphone. You can do your gratitudes, find some positive reading, whether that is, a devotional time for you, or it's just something positive and uplifting, probably not the news in most cases. But again, and Pat mentioned here, visualizations. You hear this all the time in the sports world about athletes visualizing themselves winning. Again, Vicki Blackwell talked about a few things last week on her way to appointments, but visualizing them, talking about, wanting to pay you a full commission instead of focusing on somebody who might try to beat you up on commission. And then lastly, write 2 personal notes. And so whether that's to, people in your sphere, whether that's to an agent that just did a great co-op with you, whatever. I'm just curious. I know somebody on this call can share some amazing experience from a personal note hitting one of your folks at just the right time. Who's got one of those stories for us? I know I've got some note writers on this call.
Well, nothing as grand as like a closing or anything or a lead, but I think it's funny. People are so caught off guard when you send a personal note, and a couple of times I've gotten thank you notes for my note.
That's awesome, Betsy. Another thing that I would encourage you to do is, and this is something right out of the Ninja Selling book, is take the online offline. So find somebody on social media that posts something and write them a note about it, or I know there's also people who take some photographs that people will post on social media, and there's many sites online that you can just print out a nice copy of that photograph and then mail it to somebody. Those are some really cool things that you could do that, it's going to set you apart from things that other people are doing. So encourage you, again, those personal notes one day won't make a difference, but if you do it consistently, month after month, year after year, it will help your business. Okay, we're going to go into some breakout groups, and hopefully I'm going to make this work today. But the first piece we're going to, and Susan, you may have to help me with this because I think you're actually listed as the host on there. So you may have to do these breakout groups for me, but I was going to try to go for 6 or 7 minutes. And these are the topics that I want to talk about. So whether it's your morning routine, what do you use to get your best days started, affirmations or visualizations that you use, and hopefully Susan's going to be able to pop us into some breakout groups of 4 or 5 for 6 or 7 minutes. And
Neil,
yes.
I just made you the host.
Ah, okay, thank you. Now I can do it. Awesome. All right, well, we'll go into these groups here, and we'll be back in about 5 or 6 minutes.
How did we get so lucky to have Neil in our group?
I just popped in for a minute. I hope y'all are doing well.
We're not sure what we're supposed to do, I think.
All right. So what are some things that you do to start your morning routine, get yourself in a high positive? Does anybody use any affirmations or visualizations? Those are the type things I was hoping to discuss in the breakout groups this morning. So Jan, I'm sure you got some good things in that vein to share.
I don't, and I need to, and I really enjoyed reading these chapters. It was really, really good. You should see all the underlining that I have in there with stars in different places that I've got to get out of some of my negative thinking, I guess, about myself. And so I want to start working on some sort of ritual.
Okay. Well, let's see who else on here. Angie or Jody, y'all have something to share?
Yeah,
with us?
I do. I get up every morning, do a Bible verse reading. I always make sure to have a cup of coffee before anyone else is up. And my sweet little dog Zoe insists that we play, and you just can't be sad if you've got a cute little puppy torturing you.
Awesome. That's true.
So I currently do not have a routine, but with reading this book and taking this class, I have a routine starting today with gratitudes. Yes, always have my coffee in the morning. That makes me a much happier person. But this is really motivating, this class and this book. And I really feel like this is going to help me ramp my business up even more.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. John, how about it? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Nice day here in Cabot, Arkansas. But we're getting some much needed rain and cooler temperatures without hurricane.
without 50-mile-an-hour winds?
Yes.
So, good.
Anyway, I sat in the Ninja installation right before the pandemic in March. And I started out after that trying to do the morning ritual and cards and stuff. And I have to admit, I have not followed up with that real well. I haven't kept it going. So I'm trying to get rejuvenated. And I wasn't in the class last week. I had something going, couldn't be there. So I'm attending, trying to get going, because those things, no doubt, they pay off if you put a little bit of effort into it. And I saw that even with the personal cards. I was doing the cards, and it was amazing the response that I got from the cards. So that's my take here from Cabot.
All right, awesome. Well, as they say during the class, these are things that are easy to do, and they're also easy not to do. And I'm certainly not saying that I'm 100% on this, but hey, the good thing is you can jump back on that wagon at any time and get your note cards out and start writing some notes, and just we're all gonna miss some days and maybe some weeks, but you can always get back on track and just get back after it. So that's what I would encourage you to do. And if you don't have a morning ritual, start one. I love that Angie just said she was starting it today. So that's awesome.
Right. I sometimes, or I shouldn't say sometimes, often I look at like it's National Dog Day or National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, and then it'll trigger someone that I remember that I know loves chocolate chip cookies or something. So it's a good excuse to reach out or go deliver cookies or meet someone for a drink because it's margarita day. So that's something I do too.
And you could make a Jody Day. As I'm just saying, you could,
Yeah.
There's a day for everything else, so why not?
Why not? It would have to include coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Candy, do you have anything to share with us on this topic? I don't know if you have a mic. I see you're muted. How about it? I don't know. Maybe she doesn't know that I unmuted her. All right. Well, we're about to go back to the big group here, but thanks for all your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Hopefully you got some good conversations in on your breakout groups. We're going to move ahead now and talk about some sciencey type stuff. The RAS, the reticular activating system. You all have this, and I'll say that most realtors, the way that I could describe this is when you're at a party or you're at a checkout line at the grocery store and somebody starts having a real estate conversation 20, 30, 40 feet away, you immediately zoom in on it and want to probably go get in that conversation. That is your reticular activating system at work. So it acts as a filter. Another idea that was discussed in the book is, if you're looking at a new car, all of a sudden you start seeing those same colors or those same models out on the road when you didn't notice them before. That is your reticular activating system. Again, it's going to take you to things that you want, value, and love, and it's also going to act as a filter to try to keep you away from things that you fear or you believe are a threat. Now, this is what I would call a major theme of ninja selling. If you don't take anything else away from today, I want you to remember this: what you focus on expands. And so this is another good little tool around the office that if you have somebody that's starting to focus on anything negative, then just remind them, what you focus on expands. All right. This is John Goddard. Hopefully you read the story about John Goddard, and he is kind of the, I guess he was the original guy that would have been, now I've just totally drawn a blank on Indiana Jones. Thank you. Indiana Jones. He has really an incredible story about writing down this list of things when he was 15 years old. And I've actually got a link to it here. We're going to talk about it. But he came up with this incredible list of things that he wanted to do in his life. And these are a few of the items on there. And you can see he did, I believe, 109 of these goals, but they're all over the board, from climbing mountains to photographing the world's greatest waterfalls, underwater things, visiting places literally all over the globe. And there's this wild list of accomplishing things, everything from becoming an Eagle Scout to flying a plane to learning jiu-jitsu, his weight, reading major novels, all kinds of stuff, just unbelievable different topics here. So his thing is again, what you focus on expands. So create those positive things and focus in on them. Now this next chapter talks about your brain in basically three different parts: the conscious, the non-conscious and the creative non-conscious. I know this gets a little, again, it's kind of heavy on the science for some of us, but the non-conscious, probably a lot of you remember that as the subconscious. They've just kind of come up with a different name for it because it's certainly more in control of our activity than almost anything else out there. And I love this quote that's in the book, in this chapter, about the conscious and the non-conscious, that setting goals is a function of the conscious mind, reaching them is done with the non-conscious mind. And some of the other interesting things about that non-conscious is that it essentially can't take a joke. And this is kind of hard to believe, but scientific study proves that 96 to 98% of our behavior is done by that non-conscious part of our brain, which again is still kind of mind-blowing. But it's important that you know that because it can't take a joke, you can essentially program your thoughts, whether they relate to your self-image, your self-esteem, your beliefs. You want to do that positive self-talk because you can help reprogram your brain by doing so. Now, we're gonna go into another breakout group real quick, but I want to talk about these ideas in this group. Things you do to help build your confidence. Things that you can focus on, because what you focus on expands. So what are some things that you're trying to bring more intentional focus to? And just curious if anybody has a life list yet, if they might want to share some things with people in their group. So we're going to do one more round of breakout groups, and I'm kind of hoping that I can put people into new groups. We'll try to do that, but I'm not sure if it's going to allow me to shuffle people around. Might have to get Susan to teach me how to do that. We're going to do those are things we're going to talk about in this breakout group. Sorry about that. Hope you have some good conversation in that breakout group. Anybody have any eye-popping or mind-blowing things that was shared in their group that they might want to share with the entire group of us today?
I got something I want to share. We ended it right at the point of breakout.
Okay.
And it was mentioned, I can't see her face at the bottom there, didn't get her name, but she talked about having a servant's heart and let people know that you're serving them and that we're not asking for listings. And we were talking about in our self-confidence and building things up, because people hate to feel that they're asking for a listing, and that if we let people know that we're serving them, then we'll have a different level of confidence about what we're doing versus being on the dark side, feel like we're asking for something. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I always feel like if you have that kind of, you can pull in a couple of different things here. You can usually get that positive vibe from somebody if you know that they're displaying more of a servant's heart than a than somebody who's really, I guess, needy and asking for something. So it's one of those things. It's that push or pull, and with Ninja, we want to do things to attract people to us, and I think that servant piece of it will definitely help in that regard. All right, this next chapter talks about thoughts and how our thoughts determine our beliefs, and how our beliefs lead to our actions, and then our actions leading to results. And that is simply a way of kind of Larry's thoughts on, if we can control our thoughts, then that'll flow over into our beliefs and on down the line. So really try to help focus programming yourself in those positive thought processes so that it will lead to better actions. You know, there was something over the weekend that I thought really played into this idea that Larry describes as responsibility. And he says it in a way that it's a response, and then it leads to ability. And I had not, probably like a lot of you, had not heard this story, but I thought it was pretty interesting and extraordinarily applicable to this very idea that an actor that had passed away Friday, this guy, Chadwick Boseman, and turns out the last 4 years of his life, he's been battling a colon cancer, but basically that news was shared in a extraordinarily small circle. And he actually completed 4 or 5 or maybe more films during this whole time. And that's the way he chose to respond to his illness. And it's pretty amazing. I just thought it was an incredible story of how someone chose to deal with it and how he responded to it in what he believed was a positive manner. And now it's just in the wider audience of the public, people are amazed that he was able to accomplish what he was able to accomplish during that time. So I don't know if anybody else had any thoughts on that. If you do, then feel free to chime in.
I was just going to say one thing. I got to meet him one time. I have some rental properties, and his brother was one of my tenants for about 5 years. And one time I went over there and he was there.
That's awesome. All right.
I think the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the way that I just wanted to say that, previously I worked for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and, I knew, 2 years ago when he was on campus, when celebrities and things come on campus, everybody kind of finds out about it. And of course, the kids are so excited, but when I heard the news that, he was there he brought toys for the children, and he visited, the IC units of the children and encouraging them. And no one knew that he was sick, himself. And he was, they're uplifting, these sick children. So I think that says a lot about, his character and the way, talking about positivity, the way that he chose to deal with his own illness is incredible.
Yeah, I saw those, a couple of the video clips, and when I first saw it, I actually backed up because I was like, oh, that looks like it's at St. Jude. And then they actually said it was at St. Jude. But yeah, I think it's amazing that the way that I think he dealt with it, that he, like you said, he tried to uplift others, especially these kids, instead of focusing on himself. So pretty amazing story. And I thought it was interesting that just happened to be in the news this week as we're discussing it. Now, in the book, Larry talks about a story of a guy that is an agent with the group out in the Fort Collins area, and it's this guy named Jack Taylor. Interesting story. Hopefully you got a chance to read it in the book, but he basically had a very severe wagon accident, like the draft horses and wagons that that's what he does as a hobby. And right after he quit his job on the police department, but before he started in real estate, he had a major accident and broke his neck. And this was after he'd already kind of given up the old salaried job and was making the transition. But basically, he had a choice in how he was going to respond. And he kept with it. And instead of looking at what he couldn't do, he looked at what he could do. And what he could do was make calls to his entire sphere of influence and tell them that he was getting into real estate. And you probably read that how it worked out for him was that he was elected I guess at his board, they have a rookie of the year, and he made in excess of $300,000 in his first year of real estate, which is pretty incredible in itself. But I just thought, when you have that time in your day, that time in your week, where maybe you're dreading making calls, think about Jack, and that he was sitting there with a broken neck, probably in bed somewhere, making calls to his sphere of influence. So if he can do it, you can do it. So just think about him. Well, that's gonna wrap up this week. If you have some questions, I am certainly gonna stay around for a few minutes. And next Monday is Labor Day, so we're gonna skip next week, and we're gonna be back on the 14th and covering the next 20 pages. Whoops. So we're gonna be covering pages 41 to 61 next week. I hope you'll take a chance to read those, and that's going to wrap it up for us today. Like I said, if you want to stay around for a few minutes, you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer any questions that I can. Thank you all. Have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from today. Thanks.